What's going on, guys? It's Justice here, and this video is going to be kind of a ranting video, really. I don't like to make videos like this. I mean, nobody likes to complain, right? Okay, some people like to complain, but for me, I just like to play a game and enjoy it for what it is. But sometimes, you know, there's a need to make videos like this, and I feel, due to the sub base that I've got, and the videos that I create and reviewing things here and there, you know, I thought it'd be ideal to share my thoughts on this. I mean, I'm just holding this in, and I just want to get it out. I mean, I might be a hypocrite throughout this. I might turn back on some opinions later on, but some of these are like fundamental views of mine, which I've always had, to be honest, some of them towards the end. I just want to cover them off with you guys and share my thoughts on how the game's doing in terms of RuneScape and my opinions towards how Jax are approaching things. And because it has been like 2 weeks since my last upload, I thought it'd be good to start off with this video before I start uploading smaller RS vids and reviews, because I thought it'd be a bit odd just to start, you know, reviewing, I don't know, purple bomb rotation and how to do that effectively and some other things that I've got in mind randomly without sharing my thoughts on this first. So let's be honest, there haven't really been any majorly good updates in months on this game, in my opinion, and most things that have been released were released half-finished in batches. The Arc, a disappointment. Yes, there's supposed to be a batch 2 being released, but the first batch was so basic and AFK and non-engaging that I really can't see people even being remotely excited for the second batch. Batches as well, you know, that concept, I would rather there be more development time that goes into an update and for it to be released as a whole than doing it in batches. Sometimes it works in batches, but the majority of the time I would like to see an expansion to the game as a whole update, which we can delve into. Even if I was a completionist, I'm still doing Recs at the moment. I've only got I've got some Recs left. Most of them are achievements and quests, a few little things, and a progress video will be up eventually when I feel like there's enough content there in it. But even if I was a completionist, and it is easy for me to say that with me not being one, I would still prefer there to be a big chunk of content to delve into for a month to get the cape back, or, you know, maybe a bit of a leeway of like 2 weeks, because I know a lot of comp capers out there are elitist towards the game in terms of when an update comes out, they will find the efficient way of doing it and they will try and complete it as fast as possible, and others are quite casual. It really depends. But that's my first opinion on batches. I'd feel like there's a lot of them coming out recently in terms of like in segments, and I'd just like to see a whole update for once, or an update that comes out that has been fully QA tested without any breakages or with minimal breakages. And with patches as well, you know, coming towards like weekly patches, a lot of the patches recently that have came out on Mondays have came with their own glitches. So they're like fixing issues, and they're just causing historic issues to be known, or more glitches to be made out of those patches that are being created. I just feel like it's non-productive, and they're just, for example, a recent patch, you know, which happened I think last week, ended up screwing up all of the artwork in NXT in terms of the particles. It also screwed up the interface. I mean, logging out and logging into your interface, screwing it up, it was so frustrating, and still is. I don't know whether it's been fixed yet. It probably will be tomorrow, hopefully, but just things like that are so frustrating. And Jax don't allow you to use third-party interfaces, which in my opinion would be a great way to go on with add-ons for better customizability. At the moment, it's just so clunky. I'm thinking of creating a video about interfaces coming up soon, because I've actually finally got around to changing my interface again after playing WoW and starting off from scratch and using shift and different abilities like that. I've decided I'm going to adapt that now to my RS play. I don't know why I haven't. It's taken me a long time, mostly due to a lack of time and, you know, my mentality around it of I don't want to invest 2 hours into this, and it's just the way I played. But now I'm on holiday, I woke up, I spent 2 hours just editing my interface, and I'm happier with it. But I did end up going Virago and flipping using Sunshine instead of Cade, and died. So now I've just got a bar full of Cades to teach me a lesson, but I'll be releasing a video on that soon. But third-party interfaces, in my opinion, would be a great way to go with add-ons for better customizability. At the moment, like I said, it's clunky. It restricts you to place parts of your interface in specific boxed areas, which is very annoying and creates gaps which people with OCD, or even with people without OCD, will just go crazy at you for having gaps in your interface. And yes, it annoys me too, but sometimes you can't get around it because of the restrictions that the current interface system, you know, does for you. Yes, it's great as a whole from what it used to be, but there's so much more that it can offer. And the NXT client as well is starting to crash for more and more people. I don't know why, but error messages are starting to be created. We need some communication on that. Why is it happening? Do you have to clear cache? What do we need to do? Because there's a lot of errors coming up with NXT clients now. And I've experienced it only once, but I've experienced it once and it was in a Telos kill and it screwed me over. And I've only experienced it once, but I know some people who are repeatedly experiencing it. Why is that happening? Could we have like a generic communication on that? On maybe a general FAQ, on how to get past certain error messages. MTX updates, that's another thing. So MTX updates, that's aka the treasure hunter effectively, where there's higher production quality items than members gear being produced, and that just shouldn't happen, or at least it should be equal. And that's in terms of the art style and even damage in some cases, I think, with the new tier 70 hybrid gear, but don't count me on that one. There's an Arc Treasure Hunter promo that came out recently, and I'm just looking at that thinking, people were disappointed with the Arc, with Batch 1, and then you go and throw in people's faces a Treasure Hunter promotion via the Arc. I don't even understand it, because I haven't even bothered looking into it. From what I can gather, you go through these missions or discover these islands via the Treasure Hunter and you can unlock this tier 70 hybrid gear. And this gear looks really cool, to be honest. It does look good, but it's tier 70 gear again, more low-end gear that we really just don't really need. But it's the fact that this sort of content, the tier 70 gear and everything, it would have been cool trying to get that within the Arc itself, within the actual update, rather than the treasure hunter. Why wasn't this armor included within the first batch of the Arc for us to explore different islands and try and unlock it for like keepsakes, for example, or for the achievement of obtaining it? Why was it not done that way, and instead it's been put into the treasure hunter where you have to pay with bonds or with in-game cash or IRL money, let's say, for keys? I just don't get it. I really don't. Yes, from reading different JMod comments on this and things, they have more time in the MTX team to put towards the artwork, the animations and things like that, but something needs to be changed there, in my opinion. The members content that we are paying for continuously should be at the same standard. This needs to change. Does anyone else log in and just think, oh my god, another treasure hunter promo almost every day? I usually just look past it. It's just because I'm going through a full rant here that I'm going to include it, because I usually look past it and always have. You've either got the choice of going out there and doing it, or you've got the choice of sitting back, and usually it doesn't put you behind the people who are paying for it, in terms of you can still get to the same place, but it just takes more effort and time. But I just start to worry when updates are coming out via the treasure hunter, which should have really been included within the members content. Raids 2 delayed. That's a big one in my book of just half finished content, which is just putting more people off Group PvM, even though that is, in my opinion, is the way forward, and that is what creates a really solid MMO. But they bring out stuff like that half finished and they don't help themselves, and so more and more of the community are like, I want solo content, because they look at that and they can't delve into it because of so many things wrong with it, and it just puts people off. In my perspective as well, a lot of content's being delayed, in my opinion, maybe because they're putting time into fixing old content. Now, I don't mind content being delayed to make sure it's complete. For example, they delayed TDM and Bounty Hunter, and I just hope that delay has meant now that content's going to come out as a whole without batches, that it's going to come out finished, QA tested fully and ready to go. Yes, there will be changes and patches needed when thousands of people start playing it, and there will be balancing issues that arise, but as a whole, I hope the majority of the content is there and ready. Telos as well, let's talk about Telos a little. That boss is very high intensity, and it's pure solo. You're having to concentrate solo for 15 minutes straight. It's difficult, or let's say 10 to 15 minutes on average. I've done about 35 hours of, solid gameplay with that boss, and I got up to 415%, and I wish I could say I was a warden, but I'm not, and because I lost interest, and it would take me only 10 more hours to get the warden. I have one orb, and from talking to people, it takes an average around 20 to 25 hours per orb, and if you're kill streaking. I'm bored of soloing it. Why? Well, it comes to the community argument once again of solo versus group bossing. One of the top Reddit comments at the moment is arguing the need of more solo bosses. But has that person really experienced group PvMing, coordinating attacks, making teams, going through the struggle of getting into a team, but then having fun with friends and communicating and collaborating to learn more, be more effective? I'm not blaming him or that type of player though. When it comes to the foundations of this issue, Jagex need to include more difficulty scaling, a better grouping system, more group incentives in terms of higher XP, more loot based on difficulty and mechanics. Look at the prices of Telos drops, and also the minute impact those weapons have had on the game at the moment. You're grinding a boss months solo for a 2 bill plus single drop. Or you could do a group fight. If it was a group session, you could do a group fight, have an absolute laugh with other players, learning mechanics together, play a multiplayer game, get a split of a 2 to 3 bill drop more frequently. I'd rather do that and make that only drop at higher difficulties of the boss, or drop different tiers of the weapon gear depending on the difficulty. Or another option is drop like invention perks and things, expand the invention, which to be honest still isn't completely finished, and make that viable in a low to mid level difficulty of a boss fight. And then at the higher difficulties, that's when the weapons and the gear start being dropped, aka a progressive reward system. Jagex have not really created, there's no real foundations to encourage group bossing at the moment, and it doesn't help bringing out what they call a raid, which categorically just isn't, with just 5 mil loot per raid with only an every other day lockout, and the main Acto loot that can take a year of solid raiding to get. Looting system is shockingly bad, it's over half unfinished, and it's just left there, a huge area broken with minimal player activity. This needs fixing. Some of it is down to the community and elitist attitude potentially putting new players off from trying it out. But if you're an elitist listening right now, maybe occasionally, just invite a noob, make their day, help a fellow player out and progress. But I know there's a lot of clans out there who are very good at PvMing and they do support people, they do help people out. And there's also, you don't even need to be in a well-known clan. If you're missing out on that, make the initial effort and join a clan, which it doesn't have to be known, and they can help you out. There's usually ranking systems and different challenges. You can make friends, you can get them to help you out, but it does take a bit of effort from you as well. You can't expect everything just to fall to you, and for you to be able to just do group PvM without any effort being put in initially to build that network. But it is mostly down to the lack of incentives, in my opinion, and there are no real foundations being built for multiplayer PvM, despite this being an MMO. Yes, you can do solo PvM and those items are impacting a multiplayer environment, but in my opinion, there are no real foundations being built for multiplayer PvM, despite this being an MMO. Oh yeah, and we are back at a fact of content being delayed and released unfinished again. I feel they're almost trying to do too much with too little resource, and to argue their side, it is difficult because RuneScape is not only combat related. You have a wide variety of different styled players, AFK and Netflix players, efficiency, questers, lore, combat. It's difficult to please everyone, but I know from experience the Virago era was incredible, and it's still being used today as a benchmark for PvM. I've been saying this for years. We need a Virago version 2, a group boss with singular RNG rewards to split amongst the team that evolves the game as a multiplayer social PvM game. Most group PvMers are more skilled due to collaborating and discussing methods. You learn quicker. These, I know, are the players taking advantage of Telos as well, being a solo boss, but I know the majority of players who are taking advantage of that boss are ones who have developed very good DPS rotations and tanking rotations through group PvM. Unless, of course, you're grinding it out at lower enraged kill streaks, which you just take a lot longer to get the drops due to the decreased chances of it. But at the same time, you're going to get there in the end. Now, the anti-walking as well, I will touch on this. This is coming tomorrow, Monday, and for new players coming to this game who have never experienced walking, it'll be a decent update for them. It'll be good for them because they've never experienced what walking was. They're going to be slaying these bosses the way they were intended to be killed. But personally, Jagex should have just accepted their losses with these bosses and move on unless there is a positive impact of doing this. I would like that to be explained more by Jagex rather than just this is how it was intended to be. If the PvM community are enjoying it as it is, then why change it unless there is some sort of economical benefit? Either way, it's coming, and at least this has been communicated in advance of the patch. I'm hoping Telos paving will be fixed too, where he pushes the player away. After messaging some JMods on Twitter, It has been confirmed this fix will be applied to Telos, but I'm not sure whether it will fix paving. And how much development time has gone into fixing that? And has it just been like a little side project where, they've just tapped into here and there when they've had spare time? Or is it something they've dedicated to fixing for hours on end? And has that taken away a lot of other content? Is it worth it? Make your own opinion in the comment section. I know this is a very controversial topic. And, remember, if you're writing an opinion on this, it's better if you've actually experienced it. If you know how to walk bosses effectively, that's when you can really truly give an opinion on this topic. I wouldn't just say, oh, this is a great update and stuff like that if you haven't actually tried it yourself or know how to do it, because some of it does take skill. So just make sure that when you're commenting, be appreciative of that, be understanding of different people's opinions, and that people have committed to hours of doing this effectively. And that's all I'm going to say around that. That's my rant over. So much more as well to actually talk about, but I can't be alone in all of this. Remember, this is just my opinion, just free-flowed off, and, there will be some things here which I might have gone back against and back on, and some things that you agree and disagree with. But rather than hating against this, because I just woke up, and this is all just flown out, anything, rather than hating against what I've said in this video, if you do strongly disagree, constructively voice your opinions below. Overall, I'm not sure whether it's me personally just not liking the direction the game's going in, or whether there is a genuine need of change, which is determined by whether there are more people who are thinking like me here or less people. Let me know your thoughts, whether you agree or not, and why. Again, this is just a ranting video. I feel like sometimes you just got to let it out. And I love this game. It's a great game. And I'm just going through a stage right now where I'm just a bit disappointed with a lot of the things that are happening with it. And I feel like I just need to get it out of my system and share it with, all of you guys. You're here, so you subscribe to me, and I might as well share them, right? Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.